we have to give time for a little bit of transition for that too, right?
All right. Okay.
So,
yeah. Live is much better.
Okay. So. Start live stream. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jim, and I'll be your host. Today, we're in for a really exciting session led by Leslie Sparks, who is the Education Youth Program Manager at Hot Docs Canadian International Document. And she's bringing lots of experience to the table for us today. She, since 1990, has been working for profit and nonprofit worlds for companies such as Kodak Canada, Contact Photography Festival, and the annual World Press Photo Exhibition. Using the visual medium of photography and documentary film, her goal is to always produce programming that is relevant, free, and accessible to teachers, which already sounds amazing. So with that in mind, Leslie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great.
Let you get started.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Hello, everyone, or whomever is out there. It's a strange new experience doing this, so I'm hoping it goes flawless. I'm sure it will with Jim, and you'll find it a worthwhile session to attend. I'd like to first of all acknowledge our land rights. We acknowledge that this is from Hot Docs, that we acknowledge the traditional territories of Indigenous nations worldwide and the continuing connection to the land and the communities. We pay respect to our cultures and to the elders of both the past and present. So with that, I think I'd also like to say that we very much recognize the need for Indigenous content in our programming. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that as we move forward. But that is something that we don't just want to use the land acknowledgement. We want to bring that into our practice in terms of offering you documentaries that are viable to your classroom. So thank you again. Thank you for attending. I've broken this into kind of two sessions. All of it, I hope you're going to be able to take back very much to your class. The first session I'm going to start with is what's available to you right now. That's really simple and straightforward. And then I'll go into the session as to what you can resource yourself. Some of that you might be aware of, some of it you might not be. So we're going to move into that in the second component. If you have any questions, please put it into the chat room. And always you're welcome to be in touch with me at any time. And you can find my email all over the website. I work with Elizabeth Arbo, and we both are happy to help you at any time. And our emails are all over. We both do different types of programming or activities within the Docs for Schools program. So I just wanted to show you, this is the home page for Hot Docs. So the simple email for this is hotdocs.ca. And then if you scroll down, there's different components. For those in Toronto, you probably know a little bit more about Hot Docs. You know, we have a cinema, and which is closed right now. And then the industry side of what you're seeing at the top is what we do for filmmakers and producers and just the industry people who produce documentaries. But for us, we're in the Hot Docs section. And if you go to the left, look to the left, you'll see a bars, and you can just see Docs for Schools. And when you click on that, you'll see the different categories. So to try and make this as smooth as possible, I've already opened up our links here. So you would just click on a link, whatever one you're interested in, and you can just find more information. If we're not at a point where in our year where we've got the program, you'll just see coming soon. Again, if you have questions on any of these coming soon things and want to know more, please contact us. And so where we are now, I'm going to show you two programs that are valid at the moment that you can participate in. One is ending very shortly, but this is the first, and this is Focus program. And this is our annual program that we do each fall. With COVID and everything going on, I have to acknowledge that some things are a little bit different this year. You're kind of seeing the core of what we do, but our timing and different components are touch off. But for this year, this is what we're doing. So our Focus program, it's always themed. It's been on environmental issues. and other kind of timely and important issues. And often they're a little bit heavier content in terms of we need to really have context and content to understand what's going on. And this year with everything, we felt that students really don't need a lot more heavy content. So what we decided to do is offer, okay, let's see here. I'll get this. And Jim, let me know if there's an issue.
I was in the office that morning and all of a sudden the TV, flashes, breaking story.
Oh, sorry, my phone. As I said, it's the only one.
Leslie, as we're waiting, we actually have a question from the audience.
That morning.
There are a few tech issues in terms of streaming, but we're working on that. The question they asked, someone asked, is this service bilingual?
No, we have our films can be in different languages, and they have captions or they're translated, but we do not have French selection of films, and mainly they're English. That's where we are at this point. So it's not bilingual in that sense, but we do offer films that are in multiple languages, or other languages if they're suitable, that we've selected. So this is a
breaking story, and they show a picture of the World Trade Center, and there's this huge hole. And I looked at the hole and I said, this is not a small plane. At the back of my head, I know that Mom's in the air that day.
My co-pilot and I are sitting there, and the air-to-air frequency said that an airplane had hit the World Trade Center. With that came the word terrorism.
The 737 just hit the World Trade Center. This is real world.
Next thing we hear is the New York airspace is closed. Then all of the U.S. airspace is closed.
Then a pilot came on the PA and said, due to a terrorist attack, we'll be landing in Gander, Newfoundland. I never heard of Newfoundland.
To look up on the map, thought it was an island somewhere, but I wasn't too sure whereabouts it was.
Planes crossing the Atlantic, our first point of contact with North America is Newfoundland.
Everybody that comes to Newfoundland, you're come from a ways. You're come from somewhere else. So that's what we call people on the plane, come from a ways.
And you could see jumbo jet. I go, oh my gosh, 38 planes. And they're all here in Gander.
Every single plane over the ocean has been diverted here, I think.
7,000 people showed up at a community of 9,000 and stayed for 4 days.
The Ganderites, they were always cheery. It was always love and what can I do for you?
We just fell out of the sky onto their town like a plague of locusts.
We've been taken out of turmoil in the world, but we've been taken care of by these people in Uganda.
The spirit of what they did, taking care of strangers. Everyone knows the story of 9/11, but they want to take something positive from it. And this story is a positive.
We saw 7,000 people who needed food, they needed clothing, they needed shelter, but most of all, they needed love.
They told us they were going to write a musical about 9/11. You're going to do what?
So, as I say, this is such a feel-good story. It's a Canadian story, but it's just the simplicity of caring. And if anybody has been to Newfoundland, this is very much an instinctive component in their DNA. But it's just a beautiful story, and I think it can relate to so many different components as to what's is taught today. But the one thing to note on this film, we always note the length of the film. And so the date and the length, we understand that we do try and do shorter films. The one above this is 54 minutes, and then another feature for Beyond Moving. We are cognizant of that fact, but when we feel there's an opportunity to really tell a good story in a feature length, we will do that. So, and then at the end of each blurb, we will list a film website or a little bit more information about the film. So you have the trailer blurb, and if there's any other additional information, we will include that. Now, I mentioned the education packages. So for each of the films, so this is the one for You Are Here. We have a teacher write this, and they have, we put it on PDF. All our packages have a similar format, and they talk a little bit about the film and who's made it. They'll do previewing, viewing activities with some links. You have post-viewing activities. We give you websites about the film, so you can kind of get a little more present, up to date. And I think this is important with documentaries is, and I always like this catch line, it's like the documentary, the story does not end with the film credits. The stories of documentaries continue. They continue for many, many years after, actually. And that's why you can always continue teaching a documentary because there's always a continuing story, whether it's we talk about the environment and things that have changed, or about an individual in the sense of beyond moving, what has happened to the young character in the film, to You Are Here. And the film, the documentary, the play musical has come about. And so there's always a continuation. So we give you resources and then extension activities. So you can cherry pick this. You can go into this and and just look at, oh, I'm kind of like to, maybe a little lighter today. And we just want to, maybe I'll take a quote from the film and have the students discuss the film, discuss the quote, what they would like. And then if you're in Ontario, we do have a culminating activity and a rubric, and we connect to the Ontario curriculum. So that is all there. It's sent free. So you book your film, you get confirmation of you're going to get it. Then you get the link and the password and the education package at the same time. Everything is just done online. So it's super easy and it's all free. And as I mentioned earlier about Indigenous, we're working with this is our second year, and we're so proud to be doing this, working with the Downie-Wenjack Fund. If you're not a legacy school, I highly recommend you becoming one with Downie-Wenjack. They do some amazing programming throughout the year. And so we work with them on the Secret Path Week. We extend the week a little bit, so it's over 3 weeks with the documentaries, but we offer 3 any teacher who feels it's applicable to what they're teaching. We do note, which has been interesting. Oh, my internet is unstable. Okay, oh, you're still getting me there. We do note if it's if it's recommended for high school. Otherwise, we might say recommended. We rumble if you're interested in that film and you're a middle school teacher. The reason we do not allow it out, but we do make exceptions if you've spoken to us. It does have the F word in it a fair bit, but it's very much in context to these are musicians talking. It's I highly recommend this film. It's so validating, I think, for anybody, not even Indigenous. It's the role that Indigenous music has played in our popular music that we all recognize. So highly recommend that. You have 1 more week to book it. It ends next week, so if you want to book it today. Standing Rock, our Vice films, we've used these quite a bit, Standing Rock and Part 1 and Part 2. So all of these have education packages that are sent to you. So so these are our 3, and they end next week. Okay, so this is something, and we will do other programming throughout the year. We will have, you'll see on the left over here, we'll do special events. We'll be posting those. Our webinars will go into that area. In February, we will do content around Black and BIPOC and intersectionality is what we really want to emphasize there. And so we'll be doing some work around that in February. We normally have a teacher conference in February as well. We're determining how that's going to play out this year. So if you get on our email list, we just send you updates about Doctor Schools. You'll learn about that, again, completely free. And then at the end of our school year, at the end of the year, actually in April, we will offer 3 weeks of film. So you can create a little documentary film festival. I know it's hard right now with online. So however, where we'll offer 10 films with education packages that you can select for a 3-week period. You get to select, I think, up to 8, and then you can create a little mini festival. That's a program we're going to offer. We're going to have to tweak it a little bit, but that's something to look forward to towards the end of the school year. The quadmesters, if those on quadmesters are kind of, we're having to look at schedules and such. But so those are events that are upcoming. But with COVID, when we had to shut down in March, which was just before we had our festival, we weren't sure what to do. And so everyone's, at home. So we did something called Doctor Schools at Home. And Elizabeth and I do a lot of this anyhow. We're always surfing looking for films. And in the course of doing that, when we show films in our program, which I've just spoken about, we pay those films. Those are films that we pay to have rights for our program for. And they're often a bit newer films, but where there's so much content out there. And so we put that onto what we call our Doctor Schools at Home page, no education packages, or mainly not, and with some links. And we let teachers kind of look at those and say, and they kind of filled them in where they thought it could, with everything up in the air in the spring. And it was hugely successful. And so what we decided to do is we came back with, and this is not complete. I'm only going to show you 2 links here. What we're calling Today. And it is about content that is happening today. It could be content that you're going to view that's a bit older, but it relates to what's going on today, because we know more than ever, you don't have the time to be spending hours looking for documentaries. We do, we love it. And so what we want to do is put some of these together. They're all free. So we call them curated from the free online. And so we've done this. And the one one that we do have right now, is the environment. So we're going to have different categories here, and some will have more content, some will have less. But again, like what's been topical this year? Black activism in sport, being Black in Canada. Of course, the history, Black voices, environment, Indigenous, we're all in this together, kind of these film that, we share this planet. It'll be films around that, and women's voices. And there's a lot of very important words being spoken right now. So we're going to, that's coming. So the one session that I can show you is our environment. So these are all films, and they're often films that we have taken from the sites I'm going to show in the next component here. And they're, you can see there's some feature, and some of these you may have seen. This is from TVO, Chasing Coral, which is a Netflix film, Chasing Ice, which is, I don't know how we found that film, but we found that film. And it's a very popular, great film if you haven't seen it. CBC Jim, His Fashion's Dirty Secret. So you can just see Last Days at Paradise High, or what it was like for young students when they had the fires in California 2 years ago. See Legacy, and I'll talk a little bit about some of this. There's some environmental racism that you can just look at with a film like The Mill and Water Warriors. And if you go to learn more or read more, what you see is learn more. So what we've done with this, and all these films have it, they're just some links that might help add to content or context, or take you down another road with them. These films are not meant to be the be all and end all. They're to be a catalyst or an intro to something. Or if you've given students assignments, this is where they can start to look on different subjects for that. I think you'll find it quite useful for yourself once we've completed it. And again, we'll be announcing that through our email. So that's kind of where we are right now in terms of what's available to you on the Hot Docs Doctor School site. I will tell you, we haven't announced it, but we're doing a special event with RBG, the documentary RBG, on the 26th of November. And it's going to be, we're going to have the film available for 2 days. So we'll be announcing that. Again, it's all free. It's a limited number of views though with this film, but we'll have more details. And then we're having a panel following on the 26th with talking about the situation of the law. Sorry, that sounds heavy, but kind of the impact that RBG had in Canada, but also how it relates to here. And so we have Farah Khan in that, and we have a lawyer from the LEAF Action Committee, Legal Education Action Committee, Action Fund here in Toronto, and we'll have a third person on that. So that's going to be an open discussion. We always do an event in conjunction with International Human Rights Day, December 10th, and we're going to be showing the film Coded Bias, which I highly recommend if you haven't seen it. And we've got a Q&A that's already being done on that. We will be posting. So again, these are announcements that I'll be making through the updates. Okay, so where do we find content? Where do you find content? So before I start, are any questions with Jim, were there any questions?
Not at the moment. I think everyone is really engaged. I know I'm already starting to explore the site as you've been describing some of the sources. So it's exciting stuff.
Stay on the site. No, I'm joking. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now are a series of sites that you might already know about, but if you don't, I think you'll find them very useful. I want you to know that we are on these sites all the time. So if you ever contact us, and we encourage you, if you're looking for content, drop us an email. Sometimes we can't, sometimes it's not even available. Sometimes we can direct you to a distributor, but sometimes we can often just send you the link. So don't hesitate ever to be in touch with us. This is what we do. And we want to encourage, we think documentaries play a really important role in the classroom. So we want to engage and assist you as much as possible. Now, we're going through a lot of sites. You're going to think, oh my God, I don't have time to do this. You're right, you probably don't. But they're going to be there. And if you want to email me, I can send you the link, the actual document with all the links. So this is Al Jazeera, falls under the umbrella of Al Jazeera. It's AJ Plus, and it's a series of, I'm not going to play anything here. I'm just going to show you the page. It's on YouTube. It's a series of short videos about what's going on in the world today. And I think as you see this, you're going to see a variety of different sources for these films. And I know this is not about media, but one of the things that I think is so important today, that young people just don't go where it's an easy grab. I know now I might be dating myself, but Vice used to be that spot. You would go to Vice and you'd find it. Well, Vice has a certain bent in terms of how they present, which is totally fine, but we need to find things that offer a little bit more perspective. And so we can direct students to a series of sites where they can look. I think it can be helpful. So this is AJ Plus. Now, if you want the documentaries from Al Jazeera, this is where you can find it. And a lot of them, when you go to the channels, if you have any ESL students or students where you can get another language, the film is subtitled. So that's often available with some of the films. So you can just scroll these. You can look, the headings are pretty good. You can get a good sense of things. And then if they don't tell you the length of the film, most of these are relatively short, under 50 minutes here. Just open it up and you can see what the length is on the film. So this is from Al Jazeera documentary. And then let me get my list here. Sorry. This is from The Atlantic. Now, I think most of us are well aware of the great detailed articles that are coming out of The Atlantic in the US, Atlantic publication. Well, they do the documentaries as well. And as you'll see on the right, kind of US focused, but they're all short documentaries. So these types of documentaries you can actually incorporate into your teaching, because they're short enough just to, they're listening to you, and then you can go to a short link, short doc where it's appropriate, and then it kind of brings some visual color to what the subject is, and then continue, talking. So these short docs can play a really nice role in terms of how you position them within your class and your teaching. Now I'm listing these all alphabetical, so there's no sense of all the news ones here, all here. These are listed alphabetical. So, oh, this is nice. So this is CBC Gem. Now, if you're not familiar with CBC Gem, I highly recommend it. It's super, super easy to use. It has all their shows, which is one thing, but we look at their documentaries. And their documentaries are a lot of hot docs ones, so we like that. But they have so much content, and the Passion and Ice documentaries are there. The Doc Channel documentary, their documentary channel are there. The Nature of Things. So you can go to their docs and you can just just go through them, and they're amazing. They are all lengths. and they're Canadian, have a Canadian perspective. I'm going to highlight this film right here, Lessons in Justice. It's a film that actually Hot Docs was involved in producing. It's on our website now. It will be on our Doctor Schools one, so it'll be really easy access for that. And we do have an education package for it. If you pull it off of here, let us know and we can send it to you. This is such a simple film. It's about the conversation that a father has with his 16-year-old son. They happen to be in Mississauga, Ontario, and the father's a lawyer and the son is just going to get his driving license. And this is a story. It's done. I think it's 16 minutes. I highly share this film. It's amazing. It's so precise in terms of what the subject is and what the conversation is to follow. You cannot not have a view on it. It's such a great, small things come in great packages. So we're going to be posting this. It is here for now if you want to see it. But I highly recommend CBC Gem, great documentaries. Okay, what's going on here? Oh, damn it. Uh-oh. Let me see here. What happened? Sorry. What happened to this? Okay. Let me bring this down. So you have to bring it up. And this documentary is, site is Rogers Thompson. They have a foundation and they produce documentaries. And these are really, again, recent. While Stonewall's a bit older, but it brings it to today's context. And they're most of them are under 40 minutes, 30 minutes. And they are just going to give you more in depth. So if a student is going to say, because it's here, Stonewall, next, if they're doing something on LGBTQ, this might be a site to give a nice bit of context. The Somalia climate time bomb. This is intriguing to us because one of the things we're looking to pursue is to offer documentaries, environmental documentaries around the world, because we certainly, we know it's going on in the world, around the world. We see it here, we experience it here on so many levels, but we don't always kind of see the human connection. So a film like Somaliland's climate time bomb kind of gives that perspective. And so this site is full of some quite strong content. So, and I don't know why that thing keeps popping up. So the next film or series of docs is DW. Now this is a German broadcaster that produces, again, really quite timely docs on different subject areas. And you can pull them in to look at on different content and such. Again, really good, shorter. Sorry, they're more mid-length docs, but most of these news organizations, they will be 50 minutes or less, with probably the majority of them being under 30 minutes for sure. So again, they're manageable to show within a class. The short ones are great for just to incorporate in terms of your lesson plan for that day, but for the students to go home and to be able to look at them as well. So these ones are all, and they have different categories with this. Okay, the next is, again, if there's any questions, let me know. Okay, so this is another site that is quite unique. This is called Field of Visions, and we have Hot Docs. We have a nice connection to this. Our director of programming, Charlotte Cook, co-founded this with Laura Poitras, who did the citizen. Oh my goodness, the fellow with the WikiLeaks. Drawing a blank. Anyhow, they received a huge grant. And they've started this Field of Vision, and they produce, there's a contemporary, a bit conceptual sometimes, so they don't always work for class, although they might. And they're shorts, and again, they're relevant. They're beautifully shot. They're thoughtful, and I cannot encourage you to take a look at those enough. We're actually going to be including one of these films, Elevator Pitch, in our Today program because it's about disabilities and accessibilities. And so we're trying to offer really a broad context of kind of situations around, you know, around just living and the challenges that are there that when you're full ability, you don't think about these things. So that's the film we're going to take. We've done a number of films actually from this group. So they're updating on a regular basis. All of these you kind of just need to bookmark and then go to them when you want to spend a little bit of time. Okay, sorry I'm having to do this. Okay, films for action. Now this is a site where you can find a film on here and then you can link to it and it's disappeared. So it's a bit more in flux, this site, but they still have enough good content on here I would recommend. They do ask if you can donate, it's free, but if you can't donate, they ask for that. You know, that's a personal choice whether you want to donate to them. It's sort of like The Guardian where they ask if you want to donate to you if you're using their product. So this is Films for Action. The thing to note with a lot of these sites, especially when you're seeing documentaries, is to note the date it was made, because sometimes the situation can change quite a bit. So the date and the length are important components to look at when you're looking at these sites. If it's on a YouTube and it's not to its specific channel, what's really important is look at the source. And you can often, if it's not showing on the page, you go to the production at the end where the credits are and you find the producer or anything that can give you a sense. You can Google and learn a bit more about them. The last thing we need right now is more, misinformation. So do take a look at the date. And if you're of these films, these are pretty good in terms of their reel. You might not always like the perspective, but there's not an issue with with that. But when you're on the YouTube, just searching for documentaries on YouTube or Vimeo even, you really do need to look at who has made it. So here's, this is a Guardian, their documentary page. Now I've opened this so it won't show up, but generally at the bottom, it will have a yellow bar about asking to subscribe and donate, and just click next that and you can do, that's fine. These films are often have been nominated for Oscars. They're sort of like Field of Vision. They're really well made. They're sometimes out of the box. These are contemporary. They're often UK based, but again, some of these stories still can, play a role in, understanding situations. So I highly, I recommend this, taking a bit of time to look at the Guardian site. Okay, you're coming down even further now. Now this one, I'm assuming you all know this one. This is the National Geographic doc site, and it's got the different channels and such. And these are all really short, but again, these are great ones just to, as you're talking about a subject, you can just put a video on this. But some really, really precise, concise, short docs that are definitely worthwhile spending, having some time to look at. Now, this is the New York Times Op Docs, which I think, again, a lot of people might be aware of. I've never been looked at. I do have a subscription to the Times, but I don't have it on my work computer, and I've never been told that I can't view it because I've looked at too many New York Times pages. This is definitely another worthwhile looking through. It's contemporary, what's going on today, US, but it does have international content on this as well, which is when we've used these films, that's more what we have used. But again, shorter films, they call them, they've got something called video postcards on there, which are really short and which are kind of nice. And so this is the New York Times Op Docs, and they're updating, all of these are updating on a regular basis. Okay, so this is a film that they want you to accept cookies, but learn something new from history. So this is retro report is a different perspective often on what's going on. And they've got some trailers here about events, sources of other, where you can see other films and such. But then they have a playlist. So Race in America, timely. And so you can take some of that content and definitely use that, but you can also extract where it's relevant to what's going on up here as well. So women's rights, again, this is going to be more and more, I think, as they have in the States and is going to play up here, I'm assuming. And I mean, just topical, the virus. So this is also a good site, and they're not that, let's see here, this one is, I'm not screwing things up. Yeah, so 10 minutes. They can be pretty short films. Okay, now this is a personal favorite of mine because as Jim mentioned in my introduction, I used to, well, I did the World Press Photo Exhibition here in Toronto. And if any of you know of what that is, it's the, it's still photographs and it captures the world in different categories: environment, news, documentary style shooting, and very powerful. And I met the photojournalist who works for National Geographic through this, Paul Nicklin. He was from Whitehorse at the time. And he and his partner, Christine Mittermeier, are both photojournalists for National Geographic. I'm sure you would know Paul Nicklin's got this amazing TED Talk online. If you Google TED Talk, and he's talking about a leopard, sea leopard. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. And they've created this nonprofit called Sea Legacy. And you can go to the Sea Legacy site and learn a lot more about what they're doing, but it's about the water that we're abusing and what survives from that. And so they've got a Vimeo site where you can go in and see some of the short videos they've made. And it's, again, this is beautifully shot. These are amazing two individuals and the team they have together. It's one of those sites where if you like this, go to sealegacy.org, I think it is, and learn more about them. They're, and Christina and Paul are amazing. So there's a lot of texture with these guys that you can see the visual, and then there's lots more places you can go with this. So this is Sea Legacy, and they're based out of, where are they based? I think Vancouver Island now, so they're Canadian perspective. Okay, this is a documentary network, and these are just what it is. You can just take a look at this and see what's playing. Featured, again, shorter films that you can look at on different subjects if they're relevant to you. Okay, The New Yorker. So, of course, this has got an American bent, but right now, America is something we need to be paying attention to what's going on. And so they create these docs. I mean, they've just done one with AOC for that. And you don't need to be a subscriber to view these, and on different subjects that you can kind of fit in to your teaching again. So it's a matter of spending a little bit of time finding out what can help supplement what you're teaching when they're short like this. Or you can give the list to the students if they're working on an assignment and you know there's some stuff on the virus there. This might be a page to go to. You know, talking about Dr. Fauci there on one of them. So a series of different programs. Definitely a US based focus. Now here's another great site. I hope you know about it, but if you don't, this is TVO. And in case there's any teachers from outside of Ontario, this is our provincial educational broadcaster, public broadcaster. And they do a lot with documentaries and kind of relevant, like meaty content. And so their documentaries they post online for you to just look at. It's amazing. And so Anthropocene, which was one of the films we have in the doc, the Today page, is on here as well. So you can just go and get this. Now, the Knowledge Network in BC, and you don't have to be from Ontario to access this, which is also quite nice. BC has the Knowledge Network, which also has some amazing documentaries, and we do use those, but I didn't bring that today because you have to sign in on that. And I know that's kind of a no-no with students, but you definitely, for yourself, I've been signed in for several years and I never get anything from them other than to be able to access their content. So that's a Knowledge Network and the public broadcaster in BC. So do recommend that as well. Vox. Now, again, this is that news kind of, I want to say hipper, but I'm not sure if I'm giving my age here, but it's kind of a situation where it's just what's going on, and it's got a nice little twist or bent to how they present their content. So I often think can be quite engaging for students in terms of just the, change of pace. So it's like Vice, but I find Vice is a little bit more on the edge. I didn't put Vice in here. I know most of you probably know about Vice, but their page alone is, when you go to it, is got some stuff that, not always you want to show come up in class. So, but Vice is also another place, but Vox, it's an American media company as well. The Washington Post. This is just like, it's not like the New York Times op docs. It's a little more literal in terms of these are real, kind of news docs that are connected to news versus someone pitching and going out and doing a story. But so these are all different lengths stories that again can bring some color to a situation you're talking about in class, or if a student wants to go deeper to learn about it from a visual perspective. So that's really what I wanted to tell you about today, that there's just a wealth of content out there for you. Again, it's overwhelming like everything. And today we have to be super careful what we're putting in front of students. So we like to kind of take on that task with Docs for Schools, and we are doing this. That Today page is going to be updated. Will be, well, not even updated, will be filled, and we'll get a notice out to you about that. But it's an ongoing thing. We've recognized we did it because of COVID, because it was something we had to do to kind of fill a void, but we've recognized that void is something that is there all the time. We just never recognized it in the same manner. So we are still moving forward with our programs, and that you are time-wise and you have to sign up for. So the best thing I can encourage is that you be in touch with us. Here's my email, lsparks@hotdocs.ca, and please be in touch if you have any questions, you're looking for certain content. I do encourage getting on our list. We don't share that list. It's only for our Docs for Schools if you want to be on top of what's going on. We are also on Twitter at Docs for Schools, and we're also at hashtag Docs for Schools, and you can find us on Facebook at Docs for Schools, facebook.com Docs for Schools. So yeah, we're just here to serve you. We all both enjoy our job immensely, and we feel that it can we range in my age, and I grew up with NFB films, which I think brought me to my love of documentary. And Elspeth is a recent film grad, so we have a nice range of age in terms of perspective we're able to offer. And yeah, so we hope you'll be in touch with us, and I hope you enjoyed this session.
Hey Leslie, it's Jim again.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. There are so many great resources. I lost count of how many emails I sent to my colleagues. Like, oh, you got to check out this one. If I was smart, I would have just kept one email open, just listed them all off. But they're going to be really annoyed with me when their inbox, when they discover their inboxes have been inundated with emails. So great, so many great things.
There's a lot out there.
Well, I think
offline now. We're offline now, right?
I think we're still on for another couple seconds because there's a bit of a delay between the two. There is one question. One question was, is there a place where we could find like a master list of all these great resources?
Send me an email.
Okay, so I did put your email in there, and just so I make sure I have that right, it's lsparks@hotdocs.ca, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. So I did include that. So hopefully whoever asked that question.
Yeah, just anybody who'd asked that, we're happy to send that to them. It just as a Google Doc with that. So yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it as well. That's all a good start.
Yeah, and so that person responded with excellent. So they're thankful for that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Do
So
you have a sense of how many people?
I don't see that, but I do know that. I mean, I was enthralled, so I assume anyone who was with us was equally engaged and just jumping at those pages. There are so many great ones, and I could. I'm also an English. Well, yeah, and I'm also an English teacher, so I can completely imagine this working so well for media literacy, and then also using that as a way to inspire students to create their own content, right?
Well, you know what? It's interesting you say that English, because when I first started, I've been doing this for about 10 years now, and I never thought English would be the place that these docs would reside, but their subject, we have English in every subject, every film, and it's our most popular request are from English teachers.
Interesting. Well, because I think we're really moving to that focus on literacy, digital literacy, and literacy in various forms of communication, right?
Definitely.
And go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, I think the now is really, we can't forget the history for sure, but we need to deal with what's going on now in a manner that youth will engage with. Oh,
completely. And I also think that I can imagine these resources would be so useful to a teacher in grades 7 or 8, although maybe some of the documentaries might be not be age appropriate, but those that would be, it's a great way of dovetailing all those different skills, right? History, geography, language.
We have medium, we go from, well, middle school to high school, which I never said, but middle school to high school. And it's, it's just whomever is engaged. I think I just got an email.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. That's a good sign.
We're not in French. That's the biggest challenge for us. It's as we're actually a really small organization. To do anything bilingual is humongously expensive. So we're always looking to see. Oh, got another email, but
and again, that's great, right? Getting those emails. It'd be great to see maybe if demand increases from bilingual teachers or French teachers, maybe there's greater representation. It'd also be amazing to think about. I guess it's also a question of content, finding content that you could use, right? But how amazing would it be to have various First Nations communities represented in their own tongues as well, right?
One exactly. And I mean, we're curating content.
Sure.
I think is applicable, but it is, I mean, I kind of mentioned this environmental, which is not exactly, it's very broad. And one of the things we're actually going to have a request out for a really big grant, because we want to represent every country in the world in human connection. So we're gonna, that's not happening this year. We're hoping to get the grant for the spring and maybe do that. But so we're always looking how we can, I'm getting a lot of emails, great.
That's
we're
great.
looking, how we can do better and how we can improve and make it easy. And as COVID has changed teaching, I don't want to minimize, we're not at all what you're having to deal with, but it's also caused us to look a little bit about how we deliver content and look at it. So it's really, the one thing I just want to say to you though, and especially you're from Strathroy, right?
Yes.
Do you live in London or Strathroy?
I live between the two actually, so I'm very familiar with this area. So.
Okay. So, and I can't remember who the teacher is. It was a few years ago, but we did a survey and we asked about the value of doctor schools. And I mean, not everybody, but it was enough that it became a key point. How teachers said, if we didn't bring these stories into the classroom, the students would not know about it.
Oh, completely.
The world, we need to be doing this. We need to be bringing not just our local world. We need to be bringing the world, the planet. And one of the challenges I fight, and you might have noticed it even here, is finding non-US content. And I mean, so much is US. Sometimes it crosses over quite nicely, but other times I don't want to see another US story about, food sustainability, because it's a bit different down there. We have it here, but it's different down there.
Sure.
And so these stories, anyhow, that's what it is. But you were a great host. I really
appreciate so much
your work with this. And please, if you have any questions or if you want to get on our list, just drop me an email. I'll be happy to add you to our list for that. And the RBG. Oh, I will tell you this RBG thing we're doing with creative. I think it's going to be really interesting. So if you've got any teacher there that is really keen on kind of social issues, law is definitely law has a component. Have them drop me an email and I'll send them the information on it. It's
That's amazing.
we have so many. The panel will be open to everybody, and it is showing on Prime RBG, but we only have so many links that we can send out for teachers. But yeah, and media coded bias is the human rights film, but it's all about, you know, it's about how we're captured out there. Like everything's balanced for white,
Yeah,
white skin. So yeah.
that's amazing. Well, thank you so much. I'm guessing that you can tell by the frequency that your email is pinging that you've generated a lot of interest.
I'm happy for that. Yeah, you
that's
never
great.
know. My first time doing this one, so.
I think you did wonderfully. It was so engaging, and you provide us with so many resources.
Great.
So on behalf of everyone, thank you so
Oh,
much.
you're more than welcome. And,
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, and you take, yes, okay.
Oh, sorry, if you want to add something else, Leslie, go ahead.
I didn't know we still have people there. Okay, super. So thanks, Jim. Thanks, everybody, for attending, and hopefully we'll see you online.
All right, bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
So I'll mute here.
Thank you so much. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.